Now, this next discussion is all about wellness, but what is wellness and how does it impact and transform our communities and cities? Let's give a warm round of applause to our panel speakers. Moderator Fiona Zhang, Deputy Managing Director, C9 Hotel Works. We have Christine Lee, Head of Asia Pacific Research, Knight Frank. Dino Sucosol, Co-owner, Director of Sucosol Hotels. We have Kevin D. W. Tai, a licensed physical therapist, model, and Mr. Global Taiwan 2023. And we have Pim of Pimcology, podcast host, Pimcology. So how about another big round of applause for our panelists, ladies and gentlemen?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here with Kevin, Christine, Dino, and Pim, because everyone comes from a very different background. So we're gonna have a very fruitful discussion today. So in the morning session, actually Bill Barnett also mentioned that wellness is one of the biggest trends nowadays in real estate. So wellness is actually an overused term nowadays. And how do you even define wellness? Let's start by asking everyone, how do you define wellness? And you can also give a little intro about yourself and background. Start with you.
Okay, thanks, Fiona. Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin. I'm a physical therapist. So from our perspective, from the health perspective, wellness is not only the absence of a sickness or a disease. We're also talking about mental health. We talk about our body health. We also talk about social and also emotional health. How all these things are integrated together and how all these things reach a balance. And something very important to highlight here is that all these things are strongly influenced by the environment where we are set or our surroundings. So it's a brief definition.
Hi, my name is Christine Lee, and I'm based in Singapore, taking care of Asia Pacific research for Knight Frank. And a very interesting introduction on the wellness, definition of wellness. So in my course of work, I also do residential research and lifestyle research. So wellness is really an active pursuit of what you want to be in terms of social, in terms of spiritual, in terms of physical wellness. So basically, from what I would see from our research is that 60% of the home buyers today, they place huge emphasis on this wellness premium in the projects that they buy, or especially in branded residences where there's a strong inclination to go for the brand affinity related to wellness.
Hi, I'm Pim, and I'm a mental health specialist. I think for me, wellness is one's ability to feel balanced in mentally, emotionally, and physically. Feeling balanced meaning that you feel at ease. You don't have any mental loads. You're not feeling pain in your body. You're not feeling emotionally overwhelmed. And yeah, that's my definition of wellness.
Hi, I'm Dino from Sucosol Hotels. Like you said, wellness is the hot topic of hospitality this year. And between that and AI, I think I've heard it over 1,000 times at so many conferences now. I'm a little bit, it's kind of overused at the moment. But I guess from a hotel perspective, wellness is kind of an experience that you can have at the hotel, a multidiscipline experience, whether it be nutritional, physical, mental, that you can enjoy at a property or that property can provide for you outside. But it is something that should be an experience that has some background to it or some story and not just a simple activity that you do.
Yeah, it's totally about experience. So we will be discussing about from a customer lens point of view. So Christine, from Asia Pacific point of view, what do you see as the biggest trend in wellness real estate?
So in Asia Pacific, you can see that there are a couple of driving forces behind this wellness. The first thing is rising affluence. So previously, wellness is really a very passive experience. If you fall sick, you go to see a doctor. But in the current world, people are actually going for preventive care. And they are very much putting the center of their own health in their own hands. So what we can see here, the trend is that they are very willing to spend on wellness. So if you look at maybe people 10 years ago, how much they are spending from their disposable income on spa, on your massage, or sometimes aesthetic medicine or alternative medicine, probably not much, right? If you're sick, you just go to see a doctor. But today, I was saying Asia Pacific, you can see this wellness growth is growing at a 10% per year kind of speed, and we are looking at the $900 billion US market by 2028. So it is very, very lucrative, especially for future developers. And secondly, if you look at demographic, we are also looking at the aging population, not just in the developed APAC. We actually see that into the emerging APAC as well. So from that perspective, people actually want to have longevity. They want to have, these IV drips, for example. I've seen people who try to look younger and younger, and they do that through exercise and also place a lot of emphasis on nutrition. So how do you put that element into your project is also very important.
I see, thank you. And Dino, you talk about experiences. So in your hotels, what are you implementing right now to add in that wellness factor? And do you also see you attract more customer in the wellness world?
Yeah, I mean, I just came back from the ILTM conference in Europe, and the two questions that was asked was, what is your rate, and the second was, what wellness programs do you guys provide now? So for us, it's not even a question of if we should do it. It's just how do we do it in a way that's within our boundaries of what we can provide, because what we want to provide is provide something that is actual beneficial for the guests and not just, ticking off a box of, other people are doing it, so we should do it too. So for us, for an example is nutritional wellness. We do have a plant-based menu and we have a plant-based cooking class. But instead of just providing that cooking class by itself, we actually take the customers to the market, the local market, to buy the produce that they will then use in the cooking class so that they can at least see the story behind the food and who are the people that are actually growing these products or kind of selling these products, so that at least that is a memory that they can create and an experience that they can create. Similar to our physical wellness, we're one of the few hotels with a Muay Thai gym. And instead of just, teaching a Muay Thai class, we actually have a world champion Muay Thai instructor or a past champion instructor who actually, even before you put your gloves on or even get in the ring, he actually tells you his story of how he became that champion and, the background between or the history behind Muay Thai. So at least, it's that deeper understanding of wellness that I think, has to be done well.
Thank you. And I know, Kevin and Pim, you have very different background here. From your experience, and also you can maybe even intro why does customer come to you, right? For what perspective? And what do you see as the missing linkage with real estate? Okay, yeah.
For me, from the mental health perspective with living, right? For instance, from my experience in Thailand, we have a very intergenerational demographic. So a lot of third generations are still living with second generation, first generation, and there's a lot of conflict there where there's a lack of privacy. So they're struggling to find somewhere else to live, but also they don't want to be too far away from the family because as an Asian country, we love community. So that's like the biggest thing here in terms of finding where to live. The wellness is that we want our privacy, but we want to still be close enough to the community to feel seen, feel heard, and feel like we're a part of something. So that's my take and my experience, I guess.
Well, as for my experience, I work mainly with elder people. And something that is really crucial for elder people is the environment where they are set. In Taiwan, we have more than 74% of the elder people living in buildings without access to elevators, which makes it very complicated for them to have at least what we say a safe daily life. So what I would basically do is I would ask questions about the environment, where this person lives, with who this person lives, if this person have easy access to elevator, if it's easy to have access to like a good lighting, or how is your floor, there's carpet, how are your furnished set in your house. So I think this is is also very strong related not only with the body health, but also how all the dimensions of wellness that I just mentioned are all integrated and how they are related to each other as well.
Yeah. Great adding on. And Christine, so adding on to what Kevin mentioned, do you see any unique features that especially added to the wellness type of product in real estate?
Yeah, the latest trends, I guess you will be also looking at how we treat ourselves, especially related to mindfulness. So you need those quiet spaces near the greenery. So that's one area that developers really focus on, in terms of landscaping. They want the blue spaces as well as green spaces. And secondly, I think it's the whole experience, because when we talk about wellness, we are not talking about wellness in silo. It's usually within the community, like what Pim just mentioned, right? Intergenerational housing. So those kind of products are also gaining traction because a lot of people, they still want to be in the community while, doing their own probably working or studying or, enjoying life. So a lot of this boils down to the experience. And thirdly, I think that's also the element of luxury. Sometimes you want to have a clubhouse that has multifunctional rooms that can give you the space to entertain, the space to maybe watch a movie in a private screening setting. Or from the wellness sense, like your spa space, it can be a thermal pool, a plunge pool. And those are the features that has been featured quite strongly.
Yeah. And earlier we also discussed about how each different city or even destination like Bangkok versus Okinawa, for example, have very different positioning or recognition in terms of wellness offering. I wonder, Dino, how do you see that? Like, we are all traveling a lot here. Like, what comes into your mind as a top wellness destination?
Oh, yeah, it's a hard question. I was going to add on a point with the intergenerational, is that when they travel, they also take that with them. Because we have, 3 generations at a hotel, all wanting to do different activities in wellness. And, with, so many different nationalities and different generations, how do you provide a service or an offering for them that kind of hits all 3 spots or 3 generations? I think that's super difficult. And for me, I think when it comes to a wellness destination, obviously Phuket, it's kind of they're kind of in the forefront with that also, because in terms of space, and in a resort, you're naturally already more relaxed than if you're in a city hotel. And that's why I think, for city hotels, it's a lot more difficult to provide a lot of different wellness options. So, whether it be Phuket or Samui, I think, those different cities are obviously, a bit of a step ahead already, just in terms of how they're organized in the structure.
Yeah. And Pim, what do you see in urban areas? For example, Bangkok, like what can be done in terms of community or even suburb Muban area, anything that can be added on as wellness living?
I think a lot of green spaces. One of the biggest thing is green spaces and people having the freedom to move, with this concrete jungle everywhere. For us, green spaces will be very beneficial. And I want to touch upon this a little bit in terms of lighting as well. We want people to get natural lighting all the time, because there is definitely research on it that the more sunlight you get, the more happy hormones you get. So I think that's one of the biggest things. So I know that it's hot here in Thailand or like a lot of Asia, but sunlight is still very necessary. And green spaces, it doesn't have to be big, or it doesn't have to be a very big rooftop garden. It could just be little touches along the way. There's a little balcony for you to have a green space, because these green will really calm your nerves.
I think I'd just like to complement a little bit what you just mentioned. I believe that we all know that what benefits the movement brings to our body, right? It just changes our biology, right? It reduces our stress by reducing cortisol and also promotes the production of like chemicals that are related to relaxation or happiness. I'm not sure if much of you are familiar with Prompong area, BTS area. You're familiar with? So, okay. So we have a few malls there, right? We have Emporium, M Quartier, and then by the other side we have M Sphere, right? So there are two ways to reach Emporium to M Sphere, right? You either go through the sidewalk or you either go through the skywalk. If you go through the sidewalk, perhaps sometimes it's just hard to walk through the sidewalk, right? It's not shaded, so sometimes the sun is very strong, and you only have a little bit of the view of Manchester City Park, right? And on the other hand, if you choose to walk through the skywalk, you have access to the view of Manchester City Park. You have a shaded path. You have some green areas. There's a lot of plants throughout the skywalk. And also according to different seasons, you have different decorations. But in order to get that, you just need to climb a few stairs more, which means if you made it become a routine for you, you automatically be relaxing yourself because you have access to all that greeny area, the view of the park. And at the same time, you're moving more, you're climbing a few stairs more. So I think this is a very interesting way of complementing what Pim just mentioned here.
Yeah. It's really about like how we design real estate in a style that people improve their wellness without even noticing it.
Exactly, they don't even notice. So it's easy to think that little changes in the environment, they can actually bring like very, very big benefits to our body, to our health.
Yeah. So the question I want to ask Christine is that how do you see wellness features actually boosting in terms of real estate absorption rate? Does it sell?
Definitely it sells. So basically, if you have a really good product, I would say if it's human-centric, people love the experience, they don't mind paying a premium for it. So what we have seen in the market is if you have a strong brand, like for example, Banyan Tree, you have stronger customer loyalty. And in terms of your absorption or in terms of sell rate, definitely they can achieve something better than a similar product, but without that wellness element. So this is a trend that is going to be with us for the years to come because it's a different generation and people actually value those attributes compared to just location and security. So actually going back to your earlier question, I wanted to also bring up, what different cities actually stand for. For example, in terms of wellness, where do you think is the hot spot? Thailand definitely is a very strong wellness brand in the hospitality area because we know they have established brand respiratory, basically, for body and healing. And for Singapore, even though you can say, it's a concrete jungle, but you know what? Singapore is the most livable city in Asia, or even maybe around the top 5 in the world, because basically connectivity is very important. Like what Pim mentioned, Southeast Asia cities can be very hot. So how do you get from one place to another place without even going out to the humidity, but at the same time, you still enjoy connection to nature. So your greenery, your nature spaces, they are all over, but at the same time, they're connected. And then Japan stands for a different sort of wellness hub because you guys know that we love to go to Tokyo. In fact, Asians just love to go to Tokyo. So even without China, I think Japan will do fine. And Japan basically focus a lot on longevity. So you can see people go to Japan for different reasons. They want to eat healthily. They go for nutrition classes, or they go to spa. They go to a resort where they can enjoy the onsen, the hot bath, and the mineral pools that are so interesting, right? All over the place, and they're surrounded by nature, especially in winter. In the snow, you can see different landscape, Japanese gardens, just bring a lot of calmness into our body.
Yeah, yeah. And Dino, how about hotels? What's the price premium you see in the industry?
Yeah, I think well, there's a lot of investment now into wellness programs and wellness facilities in a lot of hotels, especially by the major brands. Because like you said, this is not just going to be a year or two trend. I think this is going to be in for the long haul, and I feel that it's less more of a price premium, but a benefit that they will add on. So especially for hotels that are trying to compete with OTAs and have benefits that they want to drive through direct booking. I mean, some of these wellness offerings could be actually added on to those direct booking benefits to try and pull customers more away from OTAs. But I also wanted to add on, ever since the weather has been better in Bangkok, doesn't life just seem so much better? And you just want to be outside all the time. And now what we're actually finding is we don't have enough seats outdoors to provide for customers, because now everyone wants to sit outdoor for the one time of the year. And I feel that, it's just, weather and the sun and everything makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And so, Kevin and Pim can answer this. With the lifestyle we're having nowadays, I feel like everyone is so busy and always rushed. What do you see that is the new missing point that actually people need nowadays to satisfy the wellness perspective of their life? Maybe.
Okay, I'm gonna start. Okay, thanks, Fiona. So yeah, nowadays we're all in rush, right? We're all having a lack of time. We're all having a lack of time for ourselves, which makes everything so difficult. Just the fact that I want to go for a 45 minutes exercise session it seems like it's just unrealistic, right? So I think in order to change this reality, right, where we don't have to just keep thinking about, oh my God, I still have to take another 40 minutes of train or bus back home, people are just not gonna think about going to gym anymore, right? So I think one important thing is promoting what I just mentioned now is the incidental movement. It's basically we do any kind of physical activity without having to need to have a strict discipline. So it's basically doing everything in our daily lives, our errands, just by walking. So, or if I like cycling, for example, the idea would be living in an area where we have safe cycling routes as well. And also, if people obviously they have this condition, right, choosing places where they have easy access to gym facilities in their own buildings, or places where they can also take care of their mental health, which is basically spaces with lots of green areas or places that don't have many information to process, like not many sounds, not many colors, not many different figures. So I think this is something that it's worth highlighting here. Yeah.
We're always in a rush. I think that's the biggest thing, right? With work, with everything. And this is just based on Bangkok traffic. We're always in a rush because we can never plan. We don't know, the traffic can be 15 minutes, the traffic can be 2 hours to the exact same destination. And that causes a lot of stress. And that causes a lot of anxiety in all of us. And anxiety is basically moving all the time. For me, I think that what we can do is just try slow down, and maybe it could take 2 hours, plan for 2 hours. And that's why the biggest thing is having green spaces and places for us to lounge around, or things to do to calm down. The biggest thing about all of this though, is when we're in a rush all the time, it just means that everything is happening around our spaces all the time. So in terms of real estate, there needs to be a clear distinction between community and coming home and being private and having privacy. So for instance, like if we're in a very busy space, if we're right in the middle of Sukhumvit, we still want to come back to our apartment and not hear the honking or the ambulance running around because that causes us stress. We're already stressed in the car, we're walking around stressed, and these things, we want to be sealed away from it.
Yeah. So I also want to talk about community. You know, how does real estate form a community? What's your perspective? And what is people's emotional needs that is in correlation with the space they are living in?
We often spend our time around our home. So whatever community you choose to live in or have a life in, that's basically your community. So for instance, Bangkok, right? If you read the Time Out article, Bangkok has just been chosen as #1 for Gen Z to live in. And the biggest reason is because there's so many districts for so many different aspects of life. You want to be artsy, here's an artsy space for you. You love music, here's downtown for you. You like fashion, you like sports. We have everything and everywhere, but the thing is, it's in different location. So our ability to feel happy is to feel seen, to feel understood. And the biggest thing is having a home where you're so close to reaching it and feeling seen, feeling understood in a 10-minute walk. Like you said, you know, if you can go to a coffee shop you love, having a journaling session, and it's just 10 minutes from your doorsteps, that's amazing. And contrastly, if you live two hours of traffic away from this one specific place you like, it'll be harder to get to some place where you feel like you belong.
Exactly. Yeah, I was just about to say that. I think it's all about you being in a place where you have the sense of belonging, where you relate to, doesn't matter if it's cultural aspects or you just relate to the community that is already living there, right? You will naturally want to be a part of this area or the city or whatsoever.
And what about the, let's say in a condominium, what are the facilities that you see that can be added on in the wellness perspective?
Oh, there are actually many. I think for people that don't have many opportunities to, for example, to stop and cross through a park in order to go to their work, I think implementing green areas is very important because just the fact that we somehow have this connection with nature, it just makes us relax. We just disconnect with everything that bothers us or stresses us. I think green areas is very important. Also, areas where people can actually socialize, where they can create connections with other people, right, with other residents. I know that privacy is important, but I think we are humans. We are people that need to socialize. So common areas where you have wide tables, where people are just allowed to go there and take a coffee and relax and to say, hi neighbor, it's been a while, what's up? So I think these things are very important.
Yeah, I wanted to add on that in terms of we're working from home a lot. So having a communal space where you're not really in your bedroom anymore, but you're outside, but still in your own building, and having a communal space where you can work and still access internet. That's also a really good communal space, long tables. And communal kitchen is also something I've been seeing a lot in new developments where people can still host big parties, but it's like a communal space and you can rent it out, and that's just another option for you to have a party, have social gatherings. Yeah.
And Dino, what about hotels? Do you see that actually travelers also connect in a co-living way in hospitality?
Yeah, I think they do, and I think they're, because a lot of people who are traveling or come to our hotels, they kind of want to escape reality. So I think for us, it's more the environment that we provide them. We do have that social aspect in the hotel bar, but if they do want to just be quiet or be by themselves or have time to think, then we also have to provide that facility for them. And it's less about the actual facilities themselves, but it's more the environment where they can either feel at home or feel like they're also outside enjoying something social. And I feel that right now people are, especially with the younger generation where the people are drinking less and they're socializing in different ways, they're joining run clubs or they have these coffee raves in the morning, those type of activities. So it's just kind of providing an environment where they can always feel comfortable and kind of escape that rush or escape that reality that they're coming here for.
I see. Okay. And we talk a lot from the customer sense. What about from developers' point of view? How do you see that in their planning phase? How they exercise in the implementation?
I think from a developer's perspective, they always ask consultants like us, what sells? So basically, it's about a balance of cost and what you want to add on. Because the wish list can be very long for wellness, but you can't be adding, every single bit into your condominium project. So you really have to look at your end users. Just now, when I was listening through the conversation, I think one aspect that condominiums usually appeal is to the expat community, which we did not touch on, because for expat community, especially if you are newly arrived in a different city and you really want to find that connection, and that's through your group, your social events, your group fitness events, for example, to get to know more people, to know more friends. So from the developer's perspective, they can actually think that, okay, so if my condominium is really targeting at the expat community, I have to cater more social spaces like social kitchen, barbecue pit, for this kind of wellness, social kind of thing to appeal to my end users. But if it's for local, maybe privacy, green spaces are more important. And one trend that we have also realized that the younger generation, they are not into nightlives in comparison to the older generation. So for them, it's pretty much exercising together. So you must have those cycling facilities to allow them to cycle to work and come back, and shower facilities, for instance. Those are very important amenities to appeal to the younger crowd.
Yeah, and from your perspective, how does wellness actually generate long-term value as a retain of the real estate value overall?
Yeah, just I was talking about the brand loyalty. I think it also creates that stickiness for certain products. So, for instance, your buyers, if they like your products, they may choose to follow you throughout the journey. If you are probably in different parts of, say, the developed markets, they will follow you. And that's also this, apart from stickiness, there is also this brand awareness. So maybe the parent generation, they have walked through, with the developer or grew up with the developer, and then their kids love the same product. They may continue to choose you. And all this has to go through a journey. So the developers have to evolve with, the multi-generational living and the different kind of wellness into their products. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We have 3 minutes left. So I would like to end with asking everyone, in your opinion, how do you see wellness going forward in the next 5 years? Just in your own field, what is the trend? Yeah.
So obviously we always listen to this word wellness, right? So I believe that wellness is not only a trend. A lot of places are already adapting themselves in order to receive this future where wellness is already well established. So, but we expect wellness to not only be a trend, but something that can be actually a routine for everyone.
I think wellness is basically taking control of your own health and well-being. So in terms of the awareness of the younger generation, I would say climate change is something on top of their mind, and they're also very much looking into better indoor quality, air quality, and also better access to maybe non-toxic materials. So they look at their renovations that fit out also from the wellness angle.
For me, I think wellness as a whole, it's very big already, but I think the trend we're going to see is that each pillars of wellness that we talked about today will be niching down a lot. So physical, we have all the sports, all exercising, mental health is coming, emotional health is coming, and then we'll see food and nutrition and spirituality as well. So all these different types of wellness will be niching down and making distinct categories from each other. And I think we'll see a clearer vision of what each wellness will look like.
Definitely more specialized.
Yeah, more specialized.
Yeah, actually, from the hotel perspective, it's kind of similar to there, where I think, now because it's such a growing topic that a lot of hotels will kind of dip their fingers into all the different pillars. But I think within 5 years, there will be certain brands that specialize in specific ones, or, specific physical wellness or nutritional wellness. And then in 5 years, those niches will actually be related to key or specific brands. Like an example is now Hyatt is now a brand partner with High Rocks, something like that. So now Hyatt is now seen as more, physical wellness related or something like that. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, thank you for sharing, and hope all the audience can live a healthier life. Okay, thank you.